become very involved with SCBWI, which is such an important organization to many writers and illustrators. And so
you are the regional advisor for Indiana. Is that right?
Yes. I just took over as regional advisor for Indiana in June. And I have an amazing team. Diane Bradley Cantor is my assistant regional advisor. She lives up in South Bend. And then Teresa Robeson is our illustrator coordinator, and she lives in Bloomington. And it's been so much fun. We're actually all three really good friends. And so we're a little older. Our kids are grown nearly. And so we have a lot of time to dedicate to it. And so we're excited about really giving back and helping to offer important yet fun activities and events for Indiana authors and illustrators.
Gotcha. So there's a lot to drill down on there, because I want to ask you more about your agent experience, and I want to definitely ask you a lot about the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. But let's start there, because you said that you first originally joined in 2010.
2002.
When you first joined? 2002. And then, so what is the process? When did you become involved to the point? Because I'm assuming it wasn't just show up at a conference, third conference. Hey, you want to be a regional advisor?
I'm going to be in charge. No, not at all. No, I attended conferences as an attendee for many years, off and on, when I could. And then about 7 years ago, I attended my first national conference for them, which was in Los Angeles. And that sort of opened my eyes to the bigger world of writing and illustrating. Because, when you only stay in your area or regionally, it's amazing what is offered, but you sort of, you have to open yourself up, I think, to the broader experience. And so SCBWI is an international organization. It's huge. And it's been around for many, many years. I can't even tell you how many countries and states. I mean, obviously all of the United States are involved, but there's hundreds of countries where SCBWI is represented. But I went to the Los Angeles conference and met editors and agents and dozens of other authors and illustrators. And then I've attended the New York conference, which is in February, several times. And it sort of gave me a platform, which I learned was as important, if not more important sometimes, than the book. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and meet editors, meet agents, because you can have an amazing book that's sitting in your computer, but unless you're willing to get out there and really pound the pavement and try to sell it, which is what you do by going to conferences, it's going to sit in that computer for a very long time. And so when you go to conferences, if you go to a session with an editor or an agent, you get to submit a manuscript to them with a free pass. And so a lot of people don't understand that, but a lot of agencies are closed to submissions. And so they will not accept anything. And some agencies do, but that manuscript goes to a slush pile. And of course, we don't have physical slush piles anymore, but I'm old enough that when I first started submitting manuscripts, there were physical slush piles, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of manuscripts stacked up, and you had to mail them, and you had to send a self-addressed stamped envelope so they could mail the rejection back to you.
Oh, yes. No, I have somewhere I took it down. I used to have a nail just filled with all my mailed back rejections and my SASEs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real thing. And so when you go to these conferences, it gives you the opportunity to submit to people that you would never have the chance to do, especially if you're unagented. And so, even though I didn't get my agent particularly that way, the connections that I made by going to conferences and finding out about her and talking to other authors who knew her and had been represented by her is how I ended up creating a list of agents that I was interested in. And so SCBWI has been a huge part of my process and my success, and so I'm excited to be able to give back.
So more questions about that, but maybe we should, just for folks listening that want to go to conferences or maybe been to a conference or two and are thinking that it's time to go to more, One, is there a way to generate funding for that beyond just working extra jobs here and there and saving money? And two, what tips do you have for conference goers to get the most out of that conference?
Yeah, that's the tough part, figuring out how to be able to afford to go to conferences versus what you're going to get out of it. And so I worked off and on over the years. I worked a part-time job. I was fortunate. My husband, has a job such that I was able to stay home with our kids. But even then, I would still do as much, work as I could, working for friends or doing various jobs over the years. So I would try to raise what money I could that would afford me to go to the conferences, so that wasn't coming out of our family budget. A lot of people will be able to raise money to go to at least one, what they call big conference a year. And so I think, that goal of that, because you're investing in yourself, honestly, and attending one conference where you can submit to an editor or an agent could change your writing career or your illustrating career. And so it became a priority for me, especially after I started going to the bigger conferences. It really started helping me understand the broader view of publishing and really got an understanding for the business side of things. And it's not just about the writing. If you're not somebody who's willing or able to speak in front of people and do school visits and do blog interviews and book signings, if that's something that you have that really challenges you, then you need to think about that, because that is at least 50%, if not more so, of the job. It is not just the writing, and so. Oh, now I've forgotten what your whole question was.
Oh, it was a really long, involved question. It was a little ridiculous. So if I'm going to a conference and I want to eventually become Angie Karcher, the regional advisor for the place, I want to take over, but I want to start small. Yes. What are tips do you have for somebody to get the best experience out of attending a conference like that?
Oh, right. The second part. Okay. So, whoops. Oh, I've lost my pillows. Hold on.
Stand by, folks. Pillow difficulties.
Stand by. Okay. So attending a conference, so you want to read the directions after you've registered, read the directions very, very carefully. You always want to submit for a manuscript or a portfolio critique if you can, because, we spend a lot of time finding amazing editors and agents and authors and art directors to come in and we bring these people in from New York and Los Angeles and wherever across the country. So, that little bit of extra money that you can spend to get a critique with them is the most valuable thing that you can do at a conference. And so you're getting automatic feedback, and if they love what you've written or what you've illustrated, then they're going to ask for more. So that could change your career. There are moments that literally people's careers are made at conferences because they requested a critique. And so even if somebody doesn't love what you've written, you're going to learn why it didn't work. You can go home, you can revise and edit, and you know what to do differently to submit it to the next one. But the other thing is, I think, just get out there and meet people. Pass out your business card to everybody. We have these always have business cards, always. And I one suggestion I had that I think is a great suggestion is to always have your face on the business card, because as an editor or an agent, especially, you go to these conferences and they do dozens of them every year, if not more. They meet so many people. But, like, I'm a facial person, so I can recognize somebody from their face. Maybe I won't remember their name. But always hand out a business card with your face on it. You want to have your email. You want to have your website ready to go. You always want to have, they're always going to say, well, what are you working on? So that means you need to have a pitch ready. So that's like an elevator pitch, is where you sort of spend, about 30 seconds pitching your idea of a manuscript to an editor or to an agent. So you need to have a few of those in your pocket and ready to go. And just as general conversation comes around, you can come right up with what it is that you're working on. And the cool thing is they might say, oh, I really love that idea. We don't have anything like that on our list of what we're ready to publish. And so would you send that to me? And then you get to do that. And so meeting other authors and illustrators, meeting people, networking, that is the one thing that I learned the most from going to especially the bigger conferences, is the networking value alone. I used to run, I still do, but I had to take a break for a little while, but it's called Rhyme Revolution. And so it was a writer's challenge that happened every April, and it was for authors that write rhyming picture books. And so I would invite authors and editors and agents that would write a blog post on my blog, and then people would read the blog and they would comment, and everybody who commented on that particular blog was their name was put in a hat for a prize for that day. And so by the end of the month, we had given away lots of books that had been donated and critiques and just opportunities to submit to various people. And so that, it used to be called Rhyming Picture Book Month. And now it's called Rhyme Revolution. It sort of took on a life of its own. And so now we have the Best in Rhyme Award, which I give out in New York City every year in February. But all of the bloggers that I use were people that I met at conferences.
That's perfect. So with so many questions, I'm wondering where to even begin. One more question about the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and I definitely want to ask you about running your own conference and everything that's involved with that. But say that you're somebody that's in, a place like Indiana or any of the other Midwest states where you're not at the biggest conferences out in Los Angeles, New York. If there's not a huge conference going on, there's just kind of smaller conferences going on. What other benefits are you getting for your membership to the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, even if you're not able to attend all of those?
Yeah, of course. Well, just first of all, just being a member is of value. So when you are sending a manuscript to, let's say, an agent, and they want to know sort of your credits, if you put down that you're an SCBWI member, that gets their attention. That to them, that is in my opinion, the professional organization for children's authors and illustrators. So if you put that down, they understand that you are a professional, that you understand the importance of learning how to write and submit and promote your books in a professional way. So that alone, I think, brings a lot of weight. But also we offer critique groups. We have Manju Howard is our critique group coordinator. So all you have to do is contact her, and she will set you up in either an in-person critique group, if there are lots of them that meet around the state, or an email or a Facebook critique group, or really whatever you're looking for. That is the key, because you don't ever want to submit anything to an editor or an agent that hasn't been thoroughly reviewed and critiqued by other people. Not your family, not your family.
But my
members.
mom really loves it.
But they love everything. I know they love everything we write. But if you can get into a really good critique group, or even find a really good critique partner, somebody who is going to give you feedback, honest feedback. You also have to develop a very thick skin, because if something's not working for me, I want to know. And so if somebody tells me, oh, this section is very unclear, I want to go back and fix that. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be as understandable and entertaining and enjoyable to kids as possible. And so that's what a critique group can be for you. But also just being a member of SCBWI, we offer conferences. We have a retreat coming up this fall. The Autumn Frost Retreat is at Brown County State Park, and that is November 8th through the 11th. That's our very first big event as a new SCBWI regional team that we're putting on. We're also offering a yearly cheer celebration luncheon, which is going to be December 14th in Indianapolis. We're actually bringing in Stephen Mooser, who is one of the original founders of SCBWI with Lynn Oliver. But Stephen's coming in, and he's going to do a morning chat with whoever wants to come. It's a free event. There will be an expense for the luncheon, and then we're going to announce lots of exciting good news, things coming up. We have a new mentor program that we're offering starting 2020. And so we're going to be announcing who the mentors are and how people can apply to that. And that will be hopefully going on every year from now on. So that will be one-on-one, collaborations with a mentor and a mentee where they work on different genres of writing and illustrating. We because we're all a little older ladies and we've been around a while, we're trying to bring back some things that we know have worked in the past, and then we're also trying to offer some new events for people. We have the Hoosier Book Happenings, which we've brought back. Our library mentor or coordinator, Karen Kalinsky, is doing that. And so she'll put that out a couple times a year, and that is a newsletter with Hoosier books written and illustrated by Hoosier authors. And that is a newsletter that goes to all the libraries in Indiana, public, private, and school librarians. And we're really trying to make connections with, my goal would be to make connections with universities, with all schools, with libraries, with bookstores, and just really help people understand in those businesses what SCBWI is and what we can offer, because we have all of these authors and illustrators that do school visits, which can help kiddos understand, what it is that we do, and, maybe that gives them some direction in their future, what they want to be as they grow up.
That's a lot of benefit that you can get out of a single membership.
And
I should point out, while we're talking about Hoosier authors, I always encourage authors, if you're interested in being on the #1 children's book podcast, I assume. I don't know who vets these things.
Absolutely.
Hoosier authors always get preference. I'm very Indiana centric. I'd be happy to chat with you. So everybody that's listening that's in Indiana, know that you've already got a foot in the door beyond any authors outside of the state.